federal prosecutors announced the arrest of 18 people, most of them North Texans, for defrauding the COVID-era Paycheck Protection Program out of millions of dollars. One of the people arrested, likely a familiar face for many millennials, maybe even their parents. Fox 4's Stephen Dial has our story. Stephen.
Yes, Steve, according to investigators, they say that 16 illegal loans were obtained, totaling about $3.5 million. Someone was at the home of Austin St. John, known as the original Red Power Ranger, but they had no comment. Those facing charges could face up to 20 years in prison.
This week, federal prosecutors in North Texas announced a huge pandemic relief fraud bust. 18 people arrested for allegedly stealing millions from the Paycheck Protection Program aimed at helping small businesses navigate pandemic closures. Among those arrested, 47-year-old Jason Geiger, also known as Austin St. John, best known for his role as the original Red Power Ranger from the 1990s. TMZ reports agents swarmed his McKinney home Thursday, armed, and left with Geiger in handcuffs. We went to his home, and a woman in the garage did not want to talk.
I'm sorry, I have no comment.
14 of those arrested are from North Texas. The U.S. Attorney's narrative says 2 men, one from Mineral Wells, the other from Louisville, allegedly started the scheme to defraud the Small Business Administration. John Helms is a former federal prosecutor in North Texas.
There's going to be documents that will show the bank account being open, the money coming in, the money going out. All of that will be well documented.
Federal investigators say one recruited the others into the scheme, and the other assisted with making fake documents. The others named in the indictment allegedly paid the men, then transferred money to their personal accounts. 16 loans were obtained, totaling $3.5 million.
I don't think if any of these cases go to trial that it's going to rely heavily on witness testimony that's not completely corroborated by lots of records.
Pandemic relief fraud is extensive. In December, the Secret Service estimated COVID relief fraud neared $100 billion. Only $1 billion has been recovered at that point. Helms says there will be many more busts just like this one.
A woman has been federally charged for her alleged role in the Paycheck Protection Program fraud scheme. According to charging documents, Nina Levitas is accused of providing her business information to an accomplice who falsified documents and obtained funds from PPP loans between May of 2020 and May of 2021. However, at the time, Levitas was claiming these loans, her businesses, Nina 911 Incorporated and Visionary Optical, were not actually operating. Allegedly, the co-conspirator opened bank accounts in Levitas' name, and then Levitas transferred $162,000 in funds to the co-conspirator. Levitas is charged with 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the government.
Well, this story is the talk of the town in Braddock. Dozens of people getting tens of thousands of dollars each in paycheck protection loans, despite having no real signs of present or prior employment.
KDK investigator Andy Sheehan goes on the trail of more than 600,000 federal tax dollars and whether they are being properly spent.
Are the claims legit, or are more than 30 people here in Braddock and parts of North Braddock trying to game the system? So we began knocking on doors trying to find out how in the last days of April did these people get approved for tens of thousands of dollars each in PPP, the federal government's payroll protection program. The first thing we found out was many of them didn't live in the address they filed under, which, according to property records, have different owners.
He doesn't live here.
He doesn't live here?
I didn't approve him to use my address. No. He don't stay here.
All the recipients filed as sole proprietors, meaning they own and operate a business generally by themselves. Each of them claimed the maximum and forgivable loan of $20,833, saying they would have done at least $100,000 worth of business in the year if not for COVID. Several listed those businesses as barbers and hairstylists, but we checked. None of them operate a shop or are licensed by the state as barbers or cosmetologists as required by law, including a woman who claims to live at this address who got approved for 2 maximum loans of more than $40,000 as a hairstylist.
He doesn't live here.
Well, she's She's getting a loan from this address.
I don't know nothing about that, sir.
Is she a hair cutter?
No, she's not.
Or the man who lives here who filed for $20,000 in loans, even though we verified he's not licensed and has no shop. Neighbors say they don't know of him ever cutting anyone's hair, but he, like several others, did not come to the door. This house is vacant and abandoned, but a woman who claims to live here is getting $20,000 as a self-employed food service contractor.
A lot of them aren't licensed, and some of the places are abandoned, and some of the people are non-existent.
We brought our findings to the attention of Braddock Police Chief Guy Collins, who began his own investigation, knocking on doors and finding his own evidence of possible fraud.
I'm finding out there's a lot of people out here, or so-called businesses, that they don't exist. And apparently they've been applying for this PPP money, and they've been receiving it.
Is there something we can help you with?
According to records, a woman who states this as her address filed for $20,000 as a caterer. I spoke with a man who says he is her stepfather, who found that surprising. Says she's a caterer.
She says she's a caterer.
Right. She cater?
Not that I know of.
The chief says he is turning this over to the U.S. Attorney's Office for investigation, believing there is an organized fraud ring operating in his town.
If you have that many people in this general area, I would say there has to be some kind of connection.
The Small Business Administration, which administers the program, concedes it is, quote, vulnerable to fraud and says it investigates all suspicious claims, quote. The agency isn't able to provide a time frame on the resolution of many of these identity theft complaints. The SBA encourages anyone suspecting fraud or misuse of relief programs to report them.